by which I mean no one yet. Got my Let's Go Brandon cap on. And get this thing started in a little bit. I had another idea for this stream, and it didn't work out. That's why I'm late. So it's just me and my car. And I want to tell y'all a story. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fastest gun in Kenosha. Now, I don't know if y'all have heard this story, the fastest gun in Kenosha. It's an old story. So far it's about it's a few days old. It's an old story. And starts all way back on the night, August 26th. August 25th, was it? August 25th, 2020 is when the story of the fastest gun in Kenosha begins. Now, well, I guess the story starts before then, really. The story starts with a man by the name of Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake was a man in Wisconsin who best known for his criminal escapades, we'll call them, namely sexual assault of his baby mama. He went back to his baby mama's place when he was out of prison, or jail, or wherever he was. He went back there, tried to kidnap her kids. Well, she called the cops on him, obviously, as one would do when they expect law enforcement to enforce the law. Well, they came and they enforced the law. He reached for a gun, not a gun, a knife. He reached for a knife, Jacob Blake did. It was in his car. He said to a cop, "I got a knife." Started walking around the car. Cop told him not to. Jacob Blake got shot. Fortunately for him, he survived that. I don't know his current condition, but it was over a year ago, so I assume he's all better now. So when Jacob Blake was shot, people of Kenosha, Wisconsin, where he was shot, well, I won't say the people of Kenosha, because we don't know where they came from, probably all over. But a bunch of people came to Kenosha, and they weren't too happy about what happened with Jacob Blake. Even though it was a justified shoot. But, you know, who cares? And they started a protest, and then some people started a riot. So at that riot, it's a pretty dangerous place, you know. People are looting, burning, breaking stuff, hurting people, doing all around stuff that, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that sort of stuff was discouraged from day one in, you know, my upbringing. I always remember my old man would say, "Son, what are you doing? Get out of the streets, stop burning that dumpster and pushing it into a gas station." No, my old man never said that. Actually, I didn't grow up with my old man in the house. That's a story for another day. was I? So there was a riot. And they didn't stop there. They came back. Let me see. I don't have chats turned on. Yes, I do. Okay. They didn't stop at the first day. They came back for more. Oh, I don't know how many days it went on, but people that were part of that community in the surrounding areas all felt it. Even spreading across state lines all the way into a town called Antioch, Illinois. Now, Illinois has some pretty strict gun laws that's going to come in. It's going to be important in about a minute. Because there was a young man in the town of Antioch who, a few months ago, at the age of 17, had shown interest in obtaining an AR-15 style rifle. Of course, being that it was in Illinois, you know, he can't get one. But he's got a buddy in Kenosha, in Wisconsin. And his buddy bought the gun and kept it at his house. So Kyle did not own this gun. He did not possess this gun. It was to be given to him after he turned 18. And he has since then turned 18. So, this young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, what does he do? Well, he's a lifesaver in Kenosha. He's been taking some EMT classes, and he cares about his community. Well, this buddy of his calls him up and says that he's been asked to protect a property in Kenosha because of the riots. So Kyle says that he'll come along. Kyle gets his medic kit. He has a fire extinguisher at some point. I don't know where he got the fire extinguisher, but he had the medic kit. He goes over to his buddy's house, gets some more stuff. They get their guns. They go out to this used car lot. And the hours progress, and into the night things get more dangerous. There are people going around. People are clashing with the people that are guarding this property. Nothing violent. Some laser pointers, some, I don't know, little gas canisters are being thrown. You know, curses are being thrown, of course. But in all this chaos, no hand-to-hand, no guns being fired, nothing. Well, our character, Kyle Rittenhouse, is on the ground, going around the streets, asking people if they need any first aid. And he lends some of that aid to a couple people. And then he sees there's a couple of people, there's a group, if you will, that are setting a fire in a dumpster. So we've got a literal dumpster fire going on in Kenosha, and they're pushing it into a gas station. Kyle, being that he has a fire extinguisher on hand, rushes to the scene. Now let's back up a second. There had been a man who yelled at him. One of the people who had set that fire. His name was Joseph Rosenbaum. Now Rosenbaum is, shall we say, an unsavory character. He's perhaps not the person that you would invite to your Thanksgiving dinner. Being that he, this Rosenbaum character, has a habit of doing unpleasant, we'll say rather not very nice things that he does to children. And this Rosenbaum character lights this fire, pushes it into a gas station. So we've got a literal dumpster fire rolling into a gas station, and Kyle rushes to the scene with his fire extinguisher, starts putting out this fire. Well, Mr. Rosenbaum is not happy about that. Mr. Rosenbaum went to a lot of trouble. Mr. Rosenbaum did. He went to a lot of trouble to light that fire and push it into the gas station, so he wasn't very happy about this Rittenhouse kid putting it out. So what does he do? Well, he does what you might expect a pedophile to do, and he starts chasing down an underage boy. He's 17, but you get the joke. And he starts screaming at him. Rosenbaum starts screaming at Rittenhouse. Says things like, "F you, I'm gonna kill you." It may become exhausting, but we have to set and keep the record straight. Yeah, man. Speaking the truth, telling everybody the old campfire tale. That was my original idea for the stream, was I was gonna have a campfire. But now I'm just sitting in my car, and I'm still telling it like it's a campfire story. But, yeah, hey, got a lighter. There's a fire. But, where was I in the story? Yes. So Rosenbaum is chasing down an underage boy, screaming, "F you," as you might expect a pedophile to do. And what happens? Well, Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't shoot him. In fact, Joseph Rosenbaum gets so close to Mr. Rittenhouse that his hands wind up with soot marks by the time Kyle Rittenhouse shoots him. 4 shots. I believe to the chest, pelvis, and 1 that grazed him on the head. Mr. Rosenbaum later passed due to his injuries, but in the moment, Rittenhouse ran from him. Now, I don't have all the facts straight because I've only seen the video a few times, but I've seen it enough to know that Rittenhouse had every right to be there. He had every right to be putting out fires and lending aid, and he had every right to defend himself. But in the heat of the moment, at some point, he circles around to check on Rosenbaum, and somebody had jumped over him and tried to kick him, and he tried to shoot that guy and missed. And I think before that, a fellow named Anthony Huber, also not such a nice guy, he apparently had a history of abusing family members. Well, he attacks Mr. Rittenhouse, and he gets killed too. Then one more person comes in, Mr. Grosskreutz Gage, who I suppose unrelatedly has gauges in his ears. So Mr. Grosskreutz, Mr. Grosskreutz, Gross, Mr. Grosskreutz comes at him. Oh yeah, Anthony Huber was the guy with the skateboard. So Anthony Huber whacked him in the head with a skateboard, trying to cut his head off. Mr. Grosskreutz comes in. Grosskreutz comes in to the scene. He's different. Mr. Grosskreutz, he doesn't have a skateboard, and he's not a pedophile, and he doesn't do a jump kick. That's not his thing. His special thing is he has a gun. He is the only other person in the scene with a gun, and he is the only person with deadly force in his hand sufficient to kill an innocent person, Kyle Rittenhouse. And as he is bringing his hand around to point it at Kyle Rittenhouse's head, Kyle Rittenhouse, who had just seen him put his hands up and lowered his rifle, then comes back up to shoot Mr. Grosskreutz and doesn't kill him. Mr. Grosskreutz is alive today. However, his right bicep was destroyed. So he's a lefty now, in other news. But Mr. Grosskreutz flees the scene. And Kyle Rittenhouse, who has just killed 2 people, wounded another, and missed another, all in self-defense. He gets up, and what does he do? He calls his buddy and lets him know that he just shot people. I don't know what happens immediately after that, but I know that he gets out of town, and he and his buddy go back to Antioch. And in Antioch, Mr. Rittenhouse turns himself into the police. Against the advice of family members, apparently, who thought that he should go to a secondary property and lay low for a while. No, Mr. Rittenhouse wants to turn himself into the cops, so they go to the cops. And you would think, from all that I've told you, and you can go watch the videos yourself, the multiple angles, you would think from what I told you, and from what I'm sure you've seen in these videos, that Mr. Rittenhouse is 100% innocent and was within his right to defend his life, and was within his right to be in a public area, defending property, putting out fires, rendering first aid. But apparently, the state of Illinois, the state of Wisconsin didn't agree with that. The state of Wisconsin saw Kyle Rittenhouse as a murderer, charged him with 2 counts of murder and some reckless endangerment, reckless homicide. I don't know. I don't remember all legal terms. That's not important. That's not the point. So they charge him. Testimonies are lined up. People are questioned. Evidence is gathered. And the media has a field day with this, of course. And a year later, over a year later, man, it's been a while. A year and a couple months, I suppose, later, it's back in the news because the trial date has come. Meanwhile, for over a year, everybody has been able to come to a conclusion just by watching the video. You either think he was a murderer, in which case I don't think too highly of you and your opinions of what constitutes murder, or you think that he was innocent, which he was, and was within his right to be there, to be doing what he was doing, and to defend his life. So, the trial comes up. It's time for the court to decide, for a jury of his peers to decide his fate for defending his life, which he had every right to do. Mr. Binger, the prosecutor, Little Binger, makes a complete ass of himself. This is another chat. Dick Danger says poop. Right on, Dick Danger. That's what I think too. Poop. Little Binger makes a fool of himself, asking all kinds of questions about the circumstances of Dick Danger says, is that pot? Dick Danger, under my right from the Fifth Amendment to remain silent to prevent self-incrimination, I have nothing to say about the contents of this pipe. Nothing to say whatsoever. Anyway. Mr. Rittenhouse. Look, I'm a Trump supporter. How about the Let's Go Brandon cap? I got it outside of a concert. There's some guy on the street just selling Let's Go Brandon caps and hoodies and shirts and stuff. Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero. Hell yeah, man. He sure is. Everybody he shot turned out to be a real piece of work. Mr. Video Games caused this to happen, Binger, LMAO. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that Lil Binger was saying, man. Lil Binger. Oh, what was that question? Oh, that man, he asked so many dumb questions. So many dumb questions were asked. Because, of course, it was an open and shut case of self-defense. Kyle had every right to defend himself, had every right to be doing what he was doing, had every right to be there in public as a law-abiding citizen. Rioters have no right to be in public causing trouble. People used to get arrested for that. Called being a public nuisance, or I don't know. Anyway, public disturbing the peace, that's what it is. Disturbing the peace. Being a hooligan. So, I lost my train of thought because I was joking around. If anyone knows anything about guns, Binger should have been charged with pointing a rifle at the jury. Yeah, that was my first thought. But on the other hand, the first rule of gun safety isn't just don't point your gun at anybody that you don't want to kill. Or or no, what is it? It's the first rule is treat every gun as if it's loaded. But the second half of that, which everybody forgets, is the full thing is treat every gun as if it's loaded unless you have verified that it's not. You should never. What, did he have his finger on the trigger? Like, given that it was not loaded, that's not necessarily unsafe, but that's freaking stupid. That just shows that you have no trigger discipline. It's ridiculous. Man, when I saw it, when I saw the photo, I didn't even notice that, and I usually notice that. Holy cow, he had his finger on the trigger. He doesn't handle guns. He clearly just doesn't handle guns. I mean, I don't even handle guns because, like, but I know better than to put my finger on the trigger. He should have been charged. No, I don't think it's a crime. And like I said, it's not unsafe or reckless because they did verify that the gun was empty, but man, there's a jackass, Mr. Binger. What other ridiculous stuff? Let's just spend the next few minutes talking about ridiculous questions that he asked and the stuff that he did. The only question I can think of was one that the defense asked. When the defense asked the state's key witness, their key material witness, Gage Grosskreutz, the man himself who got his arm blown almost in half when he tried to shoot Kyle Rittenhouse in the head execution style. Gage Grosskreutz, the state's key witness, is called to the stand, and in cross-examination, what does the defense ask him? You didn't shoot it, or no, Kyle didn't shoot at you until you pointed your gun at him, right? And Gage doesn't know how to lie, apparently, and he says, yeah, that's right. Totally blew their case out of the water. Just nuked the whole case. Ridiculous. I handled your gun. No, I would never. And that is gay, sir. I would never handle another man's gun. Fatlock said if you have a gun and someone is attacking you, you should fight them like a man. Yeah, that meatball-ass lawyer gets up there having trouble breathing because he's so dang fat. He gets up there and he says he doesn't put the gun down and fight him with his hands. He cowardly shoots a man because he's too afraid to use his fists and his wits or something. I don't know. Fucking stupid. Lord-ass lawyer talking about throwing hands. This man looks like he couldn't throw hands with a ham sandwich. He has to have somebody feed it to him. I'm your girlfriend, Mr. Carrot. Are you brain dead? No, I'm not brain dead. I know who you are. Oh. So, where was I in the story? Banger was wearing a BLM pin? No way. He was wearing Star Wars pins. Was he really wearing a BLM pin? I feel like I would have heard about that. Or maybe it happened after the trial. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened outside of the courtroom. You know, kind of guy he is. Charging a case like that. How do you take an angle like that? Like, that's the best angle that they could have taken. Which just shows that they had no case to begin with. Absolute dog shit. That's all I have to say about it. Yes, I know Taylor. I am aware. I see your name. Oh, yeah. So, state calls all their witnesses. And now, many days into the trial, the defense gets to call their key witness. Who do they call to the stand? The defendant himself, Kyle Rittenhouse. And as they're asking him to recount the events of that night, the whole nation watched as the young man had a PTSD panic attack. Yeah, he had a panic attack. And I think that's my generation's "where were you" moment. Where were you when you saw Kyle Rittenhouse have a panic attack? Just about ugly cry on television. I remember where I was. I was in my grandparents' living room watching Louder with Crowder early in the morning. Taylor, yes, I acknowledged you. What do you mean, Taylor? I acknowledged you. State cannot do that. Hang on. Dick Danger says, "You're wrong. State cannot do that. His lone lawyers did." State can't do what? His own lawyers did what? I don't know what you're saying, man. State can't do what? His own lawyers did what? His own lawyers. Yeah, isn't that what I said? I thought that's what I said. The defense called their key witness, not the state. And the state's key witness was Gage Grosskreutz, and the defense's key witness was Kyle Rittenhouse himself. But yeah, that was a powerful moment. That sort of, a lot of hearts broke when they saw Kyle Rittenhouse have a panic attack over it. Because, he had talked about the trauma, and he had talked about having bad dreams and stuff. Or I don't know, maybe he talked about that after. All I know is I heard the clip. But, when you see it, it's different. Anyway, the rest of the trial went on, and, there's not much more to be said because at the end of the day, it was November 19th. 19th, right? Yeah, it was just yesterday. Or I guess technically 2 days ago now. But November 19th, 2021. Kyle Rittenhouse is called to stand and face the jury as his verdict is read. As their verdict and essentially his fate is read to him. And the verdict comes back not guilty on the first charge, not guilty on the second charge. And on the third charge, as they said, not guilty, he started to choke up. His lip trembled. Fourth charge, not guilty. And I don't remember if there was a fifth charge, but after the last charge, his knees give out. He just about passes out, falls down, gets in his chair. I think his lawyer hugged him. It's a hell of a thing to see, you know. And the whole world celebrated. Not the whole world, the whole country. What am I thinking? I don't know if the rest of the world cares about Kyle Rittenhouse. The whole country, at least everybody reasonable in the country, celebrated. And I went to work. I remember I went to work and I said to my coworker, I said to him, "Today's a good day because Kyle Rittenhouse is a free man." The only downside to all this was everybody sort of expected riots. And that was really what held up the verdict. It took the jury multiple days. Shouldn't have taken more than an hour. But in spite of their fear of the backlash, they rendered not guilty verdicts on all charges. And everybody expected the backlash. The interesting thing is that didn't actually happen. Not as far as I've seen. You know, maybe in Portland, where it's been going on the entire past couple of years. But I don't think that counts. But I haven't heard of any riots. Anyway, that is the entire tale of the fastest gun in Kenosha. Who, as he had his rifle pointed down, after he saw Gage Grosskreutz, points his rifle down. Gage Grosskreutz comes around, bringing his pistol in his right hand to point it at Kyle's head, trying to get him from behind. Kyle, fastest gun in Kenosha. Bang! And he lived. Both of them did. And Kyle, you know, can't say enough how much I support that man, because nobody should ever be charged for defending their life when they have every right to be out. They have every right to be rendering first aid and putting out fires, and they have every right to be defending their life. Let's see, I've missed some chats. Yes, I'm sorry, Rittenhouse is gonna get paid. Hell yeah, he is. Rittenhouse, oh man, I hope he sues. I hope he sues CNN for everything they've got, man. People say the judge was biased for yelling at the prosecutor, but the prosecutor was really just that bad. Yes, he was. The prosecutor was... God. Oh, yeah, that's what he did. He pissed off the judge so bad with these two things that he did. The first one was he commented on Kyle Rittenhouse not talking to the media, which is his basic Fifth Amendment right. And has that, you know, can you refuse to talk to the media about your case? Of course you can. It's been settled for a very, very long time. And Mo Banger decided to say something about that. And then, what was the second thing he did? Yeah, the judge had dismissed something that he wanted to bring up. And then he brought it up anyway. And he acted like he just didn't know. the judge says, all right, everybody, I'm going to ask you to um, go to the library, and I'll call you down. And they evacuate the jury. The jury leaves, and as soon as they're out the door, you don't bring that into my courtroom when I told you not to. I don't know. He says something like that. He just starts blowing his ass open for being fool. Of course, the defense gets in on it because they have a vested interest in making the prosecutor look like a dick, which he looks like in his. Man. Kyle Rittenhouse. American hero. And we should all aspire to be like the kind of person that would go to a dangerous situation to help people. I mean, if Kyle was looking for trouble, which I heard some white women at work the other day. Man, it's always a white woman. I mean, I'm talking to my two coworkers, this big white guy and this black guy, and this is just, they're saying that they support Kyle Rittenhouse. They think that he shouldn't have been out, which I disagree, but yeah, whatever. They think that they shouldn't have been out, but he defended his life and he had every right to. And then the white woman walks in and she says, he was out there looking for trouble and he got what he was looking for. If he was looking for trouble, how many unarmed people were around that he could have just opened fire on if he wanted to? I mean, that's you're not thinking about what he didn't do. You're only thinking about what he did do. In which case, even if you're only thinking about what he did do, he's still completely justified again. I've seen so many people commenting, saying stuff like, he killed 3 black people. Well, first of all, he only killed 2 people. Second of all, everybody he shot at and shot that night was white. Every single one of them. Or, I don't know about the unidentified guy that he missed. I remember from that part of the video. But everybody he shot was white. So, the fact that you can be so ignorant, like, how can you be in the media? How can you work in the media and think that you can get away with being so uninformed that you identify Kyle as having straight up opened fire and murdered 3 black people when what really happened was he defended himself from 4 white people and only 2 of them died. You get all the facts wrong in one statement. 3 black lives. Why? Oh man, why did I spend so much time harping on that one thing? I think I'm good with this. I'm gonna put it away. But yeah, it is just a shitty situation. As I said, nobody should ever be put through that. Nobody, we're all celebrating the verdict, but nobody is saying, like, we need to make sure that this never happens to somebody again, and we need to make sure that the riots stop and that we protect our cities. Because you think about it this way: if you come home and let's say you carry a gun in your car. So you come home, you've got your rifle in the trunk or whatever, look in your windows and you see people going around breaking stuff and stealing stuff and causing trouble. Now you have a child. You don't know if your child is home or if they're out playing in the neighborhood. Who knows? But you have a child in your home, or you have a child, and in your home are a bunch of intruders that are breaking stuff. Now, if you confront them with your rifle and you get shot, oh, hang on, I'm sorry, Taylor, but I have to ignore the chat because I can't keep track of multiple threads right now. Where was I? Oh yeah. So your home is being invaded, and if you confront them with that rifle, then you're going into a dangerous situation. Does that mean you're looking for trouble? If you bring a gun to a dangerous situation where you see that, where you don't think that anybody is armed, well, then, does that mean that you murdered them? No, it doesn't. Because the statement made by the prosecutor when he said, you lose your right to self-defense when you're the one who brought a gun, absolutely ridiculous. It's this whole idea of self-defense is only self-defense when it's a fair fight. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I mean, it's like they got their whole idea of self-defense from movies, where it's like you're within an inch of your life, and then you get the power of the other guy, and you beat his face in instead of him beating your face in. It's not like that in real life. In real life, at that point, when you're the one that's on the ground, you're done for. You're dead. There's no you getting back up with some crazy karate move or like some technicality where you grab his eyeballs. Like, no, your best bet is to just not get to that point. In real life, self-defense looks like somebody getting this close and then getting shot, like Joseph Rosenbaum. Or whacking you with the skateboard, trying to cut your head off, and you shoot him in the heart. Clint Eastwood style. So, you get this idea of self-defense from scenes in movies. I don't know, man. I don't know how you can live like that. I mean, I've never even been in a street fight, but I know better than to go around trying to grab a gun from somebody. Like, what the heck? If you don't have your own gun, then don't go after somebody that does have a gun. Like, it's very difficult to overcome that advantage. Guns are such an equalizer. It puts anybody who can hold their arms up at essentially the same playing field with, it doesn't matter, the best, the strongest person in whatever kind of advantage. It's an equalizer. And I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, this has been a fun stream, and it's getting pretty late. But thanks everybody. Oh, let me read chats before I go. Right now, this is gonna get paid. People say the judge was biased. Binger tried saying Kyle was guilty because he pleaded the fifth. Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad's family can't shut the fuck up about how racist Kyle is. Apparently, shooting someone with a skateboard isn't justified, even though he could have been knocked unconscious and got shot with his own gun. Well, the thing is, the edge of a skateboard gets sharp, from what I've heard, from doing, flipping it and whatever kind of tricks you do with it. The edge can get very sharp. So when somebody said cranium him, that was a possibility, hypothetically, if he knocks Kyle unconscious, he could just chop his head off with that damn skateboard. I mean, it's a horrifying thing to think of. Yeah, and with Joseph Rosenbaum in the picture, Jesus Christ, maybe all the rioters just start fighting over who gets to, God, disgrace Kyle's corpse. That's, and this is a society we live in where these are the kinds of people that are given free rein on the streets. They're supposed to have the right to be out, and if you go there, and you are capable of defending yourself, when you're the one that's looking for trouble. The rioters are not out there looking for trouble. The rioters are just doing what rioters do. This is normal. None of this is fucking normal. It's ridiculous. This country should have never got to this point. People have given all their rights to the state. Oh, there's more chats. You can't debate this with people because all they do is parrot what they heard on the media. It's tiresome. Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, I've been trying to red pill people, and I know for the most part it's a waste of time because even if you think about it biblically, St. Paul wrote that God would send a strong delusion in end times, and what that means to me is people are just gonna believe lies just because it's not I think it has something to do with them just not being fully self-aware, perhaps. Like maybe there are people that sort of live like NPCs and just need some sort of jolt to wake them up, some sudden change in their reality. I mean, I had mine. I think a lot of people can remember when they woke up and what it was that woke them up. But anyway, I'm almost an hour in. I'm at 53, 40, 42. Yeah. Let's go Marlon Brando. Let's go Marlon Brando. Isn't he dead? Did he die? Did I have that wrong? Oh yeah, he was old. He was already old when he did The Godfather. Yeah, what am I thinking about? Anyway, I keep getting distracted. I need to be going to bed. Anyway, for anybody that's still here watching this stream, thanks for being here and celebrating with me the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. And have a good night and be safe.